Zig Ziglar says the more you complain about problems, the more problems you'll have to complain about. We're in the middle of a series called the 6 Steps of PBL. And the first step was define the problem. This second step is going to be looking for the solution. We call it success criteria. Hi, my name is Ryan Stoyer, Executive Director of Magnify Learning, and welcome to PBL Simplified for Teachers, where we address your PBL need-to-knows so that we can help simplify the PBL process for your classroom. The question of the day is, what book do you most recommend to your learners? We've all got a favorite that we like to shoot towards our learners, so go ahead and list it in the comments, and then we'll have a whole list of those. Right now, we're in step 2 of the 6-step process of project-based learning. So in step 1, we've launched the PBL unit. We've launched the idea. Maybe you brought in a community partner for that. And step 2 is likely still part of that same day. So we've been having our learners think outside of the box. Let them dream a little bit. Let them have these big ideas. During the success criteria phase in step 2, we're going to start to rein some of that in. We're going to bring out some rubrics. We're going to talk about employability skills. Because in the real world, there's no infinite budget. There's no infinite resources or hours allowed for a job. So we need to be able to be creative inside of constraints. So this is part of operating in the real world. So I had some learners that were doing a service learning PBL unit, and they could raise money for any cause they wanted in any way that they could, right? So we were just dreaming, and they came to the dream phase with this idea of, my uncle has a camel. And we could do camel rides at the middle school. And they started just riffing off of that. Yeah, my grandpa's got a trailer and we could bring in hay and we could charge $10 a camel ride and we'll raise a ton of money for a good cause. And they were fired up about it. And I'm thinking, how in the world am I going to pop this bubble without completely crushing them? There's no way I can bring a camel in. So what we end up doing is, in the rubric, there's a portion that they have to run the idea by the principal, just to make sure it fits within our school rules. Because what they didn't know is they also had to have a backup plan where it could also be done inside the gym. You can't have a camel inside the gym. So we looked at the rubric and we said, hey, here's where we're operating in. Let's get creative in there. Man, I love your camel idea. I don't think the health department's going to let us do that inside of a gym. What else could we do? And they just kept riffing off that. They got super creative. They ended up having a fair inside of the gym. No camels, but lots of different games that kids could play. And they raised a ton of money. It didn't crush them. They learned to be creative within the structures that were already there. Mr. Stoyer didn't say you can't do that, but we brought it into the rubric and some of the structures that we need to operate in. Great lesson in there, and the learners were empowered more than crushed. So bring out your rubrics. If you look at, Resource Light, if you look down in the description, we've got a whole section of resources around rubrics. Elementary, middle school, high school, and most are editable. So you can download those and implement them right into your classroom. Some of them are around 21st century skills and technology. There's another separate link for those employability skills because that's some of the things we really want to get to. We're utilizing our content so that we can get our learners these really exciting opportunities to practice the employability skills that are so important to them. So look at step 2 as an opportunity to put some rails onto our thinking, but don't look at it as a way like we're dampening this idea of thinking outside the box. We want to think outside the box, and then we also need to be creative inside of our parameters, and your learners will rise to that occasion. We want to thank Attaboy for the music that happens at the beginning and end of each one of these sessions. If you go to Attaboy online, you can book them for a school function, virtually or in person. You should do that. They're awesome. Great message along with their music. As you take these resources out into your classroom, we want to help you engage your learners, tackle boredom, and transform your classroom.